All right, y'all, here we go. We're in the car with the family, headed to Costco, getting geared up for our big pork butt cook. Tomorrow morning, starting early, getting 30 pounds of pork. And I am going to give away the biggest pork secret I've ever given away once we get to Costco. And I'm telling you, once you guys hear this pork secret, you are going to be lining up to send me super chats on my first live chat someday. Y'all are going to be lining up with Benjamins once you hear the pork tip that I'm about to give. You better stay tuned. Hey y'all, I am here at Costco picking out some pork for the big smoke this weekend. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be doing probably I don't know, 20, 30 pounds of pork, something like that. We'll get it figured out exactly. I'm not too uptight about the numbers. Anyways, I wanted to bring you to Costco with me and show you exactly how an expert pork picker picks out the best pork butt, okay? And I have a secret for you that I don't think I've ever seen anyone else on YouTube give. So stay tuned, because this is going to be insightful with an I. Alright, so here's the secret, you guys. It involves little black marks on the meat. Everybody else talks about marbling, size, poking it around for tenderness, look for blood in the bag. I'm telling you, the most important thing when you're picking out a pork butt, whether it's for comp or home cooking, these little black marks in the meat. Check it out. Alright, I'm here to pick out a pork butt. But you will see, you'll notice very quickly that the meat here at Costco, it has these little black marks all over it. Right here. This would not be a very good pork butt, okay? If you are smoking pork butt for a competition and you pick out the meat with the wrong black marks on it, it's not going to go very well. This is getting closer, okay? Oh, man, it's like they're trying to trick me. That's real tricky, because the little list that my wife sent me to the store with little black marks, it looked really close to those little black marks. But oh, hold on a second. I think we're onto something here. These little black marks, and these are verified by the white marks. I think we have double verification here. We are looking at the right thing. Did you guys see that? That all happened really fast. It's really confusing to me too. But I'll show you one more time. There it is. Boneless pork shoulder. Boneless pork shoulder. Also known as pork shoulder butt. They tried to trick us, but we figured it out, folks. I'm telling you, the most important thing, if you're going to do barbecue successfully, when you go to the store to pick out a certain kind of barbecue meat, you have to pay attention to those little black markings on there. I'm telling you. Marbling, tenderness, whatever, none of that's going to matter if you pick the meat with the wrong black marks. There'll be a whole bunch of disappointed people. Pay attention to your little black marks. Alright. I was being a little sarcastic there. Apologies. Not really. Here's my real secret for how to pick out meat. I need 30 pounds of pork butt. Here's how I pick my pork butts. This one is 15.08. This one is 15.09. Done. That was easy. After a long night of anticipation, y'all, the big morning is here. It's time to fire up some lump, dump that chimney, and get rocking and rolling. Let's get started. That is rocking, folks. I'm putting one smaller but full-size oak split in because those coals will easily be able to handle that, even though it's directly laying on top of them. And then on top of that, I'm going to go with a very large oak split running the other way. That oak split is not touching the coals at all. It's completely elevated by the log, the other log on one side, and the rail on the other side. So this, even though this is huge, this is not going to kill my coals at all. But those two together will give us a nice start to our fire for today. And as you know, I like to start aggressive. Even though I'm not going to be cooking hot and fast today, I'm going to try and keep it 250 to 275 on these pork butts. Still starting up the offset, this LSG. It's easier to bring temps down. I know that sounds opposite of normal, but this thing is so precise with the intake damper that it's easier to bring temps down than it is to start with too small of a fire. It takes too long to get things back up. So that's the way I do it. All right, y'all. I got two of the butts here, two of the butts on my other table on the side here. I need to give you two quick updates before we start cooking. Number one, unfortunately, my Maverick thermometer that I was hoping to use in this video, it did not arrive in time. So anyhow, we'll use that hopefully very soon and test that out. The second update is, my apologies. I thought this is going to be a big cook. I'm doing 30 pounds of pork butt, which is the most I've ever put on here before. 4 good-sized pork butts, 7.5 pounds a piece. I thought when I was planning this cook, it was going to end up being a little bit bigger, and I made a big deal out of it in my channel update video a few days ago. So it's still going to be my biggest cook on the LSG by a little bit. I thought it was going to blow away my previous high because I thought I was going to be doing more things today. I'm pre-cooking 30 pounds of pork for an anniversary party next Saturday because I'm not going to have time to do it next Saturday. The party's too early in the day. So I thought I was going to be doing these pork butts plus a couple of other odds and ends, like special items for the anniversary couple. Turns out I'm going to do those special items next Friday or Saturday morning because I haven't decided what those special items are going to be yet. So this cook's a little smaller than I thought it was going to be. I apologize. But we're still doing 30 pounds of pork, and we're still going to do one demonstration, test, review on the LSG. I'm going to take, these are half sheet foil pans. So these aren't the big turkey pans, they're the half ones. They each have about almost an 8-pound pork butt, boneless inside of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these pans to demonstrate the size of the cook chamber on the LSG. So let me get these in there, get my camera turned around, and show you just how big the inside of the LSG is, because even still, with this being such a new cooker, there are a lot of misconceptions I've found on the Facebook fan page of the LSG and on the Barbecue Brethren forum of exactly how much this thing will hold. I think there's a lot of people that think this is a kind of a small unit. And what I'm trying to point out is this has twice as much capacity as I will normally ever use for a backyard stuff. If you're catering, yeah, get yourself a vertical cabinet. but for the average backyard smoker, this has more capacity than you'll ever use. Let me show you. All right, obviously the top shelf is the smallest, and I do have a little bit of overlap here, but I have all 4 of those pans sitting across the top shelf of this thing. The top shelf, let's see if this is too hot to touch. Yeah. And also, since I have overlap, the corners won't let me pull it open. But most guys would never cook like this anyways. I mean, think about how big this foil pan is. That 7.5 pound pork butt fits easily down inside it, with lots of space around it. Pretend this foil pan was like a 12-pound pork butt. You would still easily be able to get 4 of those across the top of this thing. And the bottom rack, I mean, look at the size of that bottom rack. Okay, here's a shot down the side of how much grill width you'd have left with 4 ginormous pork butts in the back of that bottom shelf. So you could do 8 giant pork butts, top, bottom, and still have room for ribs. You could lay 2 briskets end to end on the front of this shelf. The capacity on this thing is ridiculous, and I hope we can kind of put that to rest, because again, I see a lot of guys talking about how small these look, and I'm telling you, they're huge. They got plenty of cooking space for the average guy. All right, let's put them on the grill now that we've lost all of our heat. You want to see one of these up close? All right, let me show it to you before I get my hands too dirty. There she is. That's with that sweet tea and apple cherry juice injection. A rub combination I'll never be able to come up with again. Had some Cosmos in it. Had some Keweenaw Coffee Works coffee rub in it. Had some rub that a family member that's a chef gave to me. Had some rub that I made up. I combined them all so I would have enough rub to make all these pork butts. Lastly, I poured some Italian dressing really lightly over the top so it wouldn't disturb the rub. And I let these sit all night long in those juices. And to make this cook, I'm trying to make these epically juicy. I'm honestly a little worried because they're boneless pork butts. I've never done boneless before. I have never even seen them in a grocery store, so it didn't occur to me to check when I was buying the big value packs at Costco last night. I even said the words out loud on the video, I think, boneless pork butt, and it didn't register with me because I was having too much fun with the other part of that video. But I didn't think to check because every time I've ever gone to Walmart or a grocery store in the past and grabbed pork butts, they have the bones in them. I don't know if Costco's are always boneless or what, but I'm trying to make these super juicy. That's why I injected them and soaked them all night long. And that's why I'm doing a little bit lower and slower than I normally do today. Normally I like hot and fast. I'm trying to be gentle with these. So I'm going to throw these on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put each one's foil pan underneath it while it's cooking. I'm going to add water to it so that as these cook today, what's evaporating out is that extra water that I pour in. These flavored juices won't get burned up. And I'm hoping at the end of the day, with the new drippings and the old juices and the water I've been pouring in, to have a real nice liquid to mix back in with the pulled pork before I freeze it, so that when I reheat it next Saturday, it's just juicy and falling apart. So we'll see how that works. I'll show you throwing one on the grill, then I'll show you once they're all on the grill. So here we go. Get your foil pan up so that it overlaps the lip so that you don't drip juices all over the place on your grill. All right, remember how I said be careful and overlap so you don't get juice all over your tray? Yeah, that didn't matter. All right, so here's the pork butts. As you can see, when you get them out of the pan and snug them up close to one another, I was able to get 4 of these in less space than I needed. They're not even all the way to the back of the smoker. They fit very beautifully on this smaller top shelf. And with them out of the pans and close to one another, I only needed 3 drip pans on the bottom to collect the juices from these 4 babies. One thing I forgot to do that I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to take the little bit of leftover rub that I had from last night, and I'm just going to give them one more sprinkle across the top, just a real light coating, and then we'll be cooking. Now that I've had this lid open for 10 minutes, we're really testing the LSG out, see how quickly she can recover. All right, one thing y'all will never be able to accuse me of is gypping you on video to keep my food cooking. If you're looking, you ain't cooking. You know that old adage? Well, I ain't cooking about half the time I'm making these videos. So you're welcome. You're welcome. I'll take a thank you down below. I just added about a gallon of water. I divided up between the 3 foil pans so that the sauce won't burn. And one thing I forgot to mention is once these pork butts get up to 160 internal, I'm going to return them to their foil pans, wrap them, and finish them the rest of the way. I did a pork butt like that a few weeks ago, and it was the best pork butt I'd ever made. So I'm going to finish them by braising. Some guys do that, some guys don't, but I've tried it and I love it, and that's probably how I'm going to start doing pork from now on. That's how I'm going to use those foil trays at the end. All right, as you experienced barbecuers well know, you offset users, there comes a point in every man's cook where he goes off and gets distracted and lets his fire die out. I blame 2 things. First of all, I blame Chick-fil-A. And secondly, I blame cooking with rye. Probably more cooking with rye's fault. You know, after I stoked my fire the last time, went off to Chick-fil-A with my little girl and brought some lunch home for the rest of the family. And we had a great time. I should have come right back out after lunch and checked on things, but I thought, no, it was in such great shape before. I'll just go quick downstairs and get on the live stream with Cooking with Rye and chat it up for a few minutes. It'll be fine. No big deal. But you know what happened. I stayed on the live stream for several minutes, and so I didn't completely lose my fire. Came out, still had some coals, and we're getting her back up to temp, but the grill had dipped just under 200 degrees by the time I sauntered back out to my pork party here. So anyhow, no harm done. We'll get her back up to temp here in 15 minutes or so. And in the meantime, let me show you how these pork butts are looking. We are right at just a hair under 4 hours in. So I'm going to probe these for temp soon. If they're at 160, I'm going to go ahead and put them back in their foil pans after I drain off about half the liquid, because there's too much liquid in there actually. I'll get them in their pans and we'll cook some more. But let me let you take a look at these first. All right, even in that time I took the video, we're already up 10 degrees almost back to 200. So we'll be back to 250 in no time. Actually, I really only need to go to 225 because that's the center grill temp, which means the top grade, if I'm at 225 center, the top grade will be about 250, which is perfect. But I don't know if the sunlight is letting these come through good or not, but we have some real good bark forming on these. There's a couple spots where the bark is a little bit more blackened charred than I would like. Probably about 15% of the bark is like that. I think the reason for that is I went nuts last night with the sugar. When I mixed all 4 of those rubs together, I wanted to make sure I got nice and sweet rub on this pork. And so I probably overkilled it on the brown sugar and the white sugar. Anyhow, they're looking good for the most part. What I'm going to do here in a minute, I won't show this, but I'm going to pull off these little chunks. These are going to be drying out and already done because these little pieces are falling off from where they took the bones out and filleted these pork butts open. So I'll come out and pull those little giblets off and bring those in the house, let them cool down, and take a temp. And again, probably be wrapping these here in the next few minutes. Look at all the juice in those foil pans. These things are just full of delicious flavor. So I'm going to get those out of there, drain off one of them completely, and split the other 2 up 50-50 into a couple new foil pans. and get those pork butts in it. I'll give you another update when there's more news. I guess I could show you these quick before I throw them back in the smoker. I got one wrapped up here. They're all about 150 or 160 internal. These chunks that you see here, I'm going to pull those off and take those inside. But what I did was I divided up the juice evenly, dumped some of it out because I had way more than I could ever use. And then I poured it over the top of all these pork butts because my bark is very set. It is very thick. When I put the probe from the thermometer in, it was very crunchy. Good bark. Looking really nice. So we're going to braise these the rest of the way from 160 to 200. Probably take at least another couple hours, maybe 3, especially if they hit a stall. But that's what they're looking like. Looking delicious, y'all. Hey, a quick rabbit trail in this cooking video. While the smoker's been running today, I've been working on other projects around the house. Thought I'd let you in real quick on one of them. Here in my downstairs family room, I just put together this, what looks like a frame or a rack. It's going to be a rack. Out of some gray distressed shiplap board from Home Depot. And what I'm building is a gun rack for my lever action rifles. I really love old Winchester lever action rifles, and I have one replica that you'll see when I'm done with this rack in a few minutes. I also have a more modern lever gun from Henry. But I love barbecue, I love books, I love guns. And so I'm putting up some nice old lever guns today on the wall here, and I'll show you when the project is done. See you soon. Finished product. Ready to see it? I'll give you a heads up. This ain't the ugliest thing I've ever seen in the world. Oh, there she is. On top, I have my favorite rifle, although it is really close between these two. I go back and forth. The top one, in my opinion, is the most beautiful rifle ever made. This is a replica of the 1860 Henry rifle. The original Henrys, actually made back then, go for $25,000 to $100,000, depending on their condition. So you won't see one of those hanging in my house anytime soon, unless we have a whole lot of super chats. Best videos ever made, in my opinion, on the 1860 Henry are made by YouTube channel HICKOK45. He's my favorite gun channel, and he has 3 or 4 awesome historical videos on the 1860 Henry. If you love lever guns, if you love history, American history, war history, rifle history, you will love his videos. The bottom one is a modern Henry rifle, totally unrelated to the old Henry from 1860, but this modern Henry rifle is 4570, and I got this beautiful walnut checkered piece in Wildlife Edition with a 24 karat gold scroll work moose on this side. On the other side there's a grizzly bear. But this is my little 4570 brush gun, and baby packs a pop. It's fun to shoot. That 1860 Henry is in 45 long Colt. So anyhow, just a little field trip. I love barbecue, but I have other interests too, and lever guns are one of them. So thanks for humoring me and watching this little clip. Let's get back to that pork. Hey y'all, gun project done. Everything's quiet on the pork front. We are 5 hours in. Smoker crept up to 300, so I cut her back a little bit more. But probably another hour, hour and a half will be done, I'm guessing. I'll probe then. In the meantime, I'm going to do another project. I've been busy lately, so haven't had a lot of time for projects, but I got a couple weekends here before the new semester of grad school starts again, and I'm doing projects today. So next, we're going to give some love, some attention to the poor, forgotten, abandoned Weber Smoky Mountain 22.5. I got a hinge kit. I've been waiting to install it. You've all seen that video. I'm not going to show you the install, but I'll show you the finished product here in a few minutes. I'm going to get cracking on it. Talk to you soon. Well, y'all, pork cook's almost over. Let's take a temp. But first, we ought to give ourselves a pat on the back. We accomplished quite a bit of work today. Looky yonder, y'all. Finally got our hinge kit put on. And that just about completes the Weber Smoky Mountain mods. I still need to do my double charcoal grate in the bottom, but hey, that'll be easy. Let's point down here and let's pull one of these. Let's pull one of these pork butts out and take a quick looky look at the old thermopop. How about it? Y'all up for that? You can vote down below. If enough of you vote no, not to take a look, well, it won't really matter. This ain't a democracy, y'all. This is barbecue. Alright, we're going to take the temperature of the one on the top. I didn't want to cram these in here. I showed you earlier they could fit on the bottom if you needed them to, but I got all kinds of space. I don't need to. Wow. Let me show you a little look before I start probing that. That juice is just a boiling. Look at that thick, rich juice. Still got great bark on top. Get you as close as I can here for good volume. And let's see what we got. Oh, did you hear that? Oh, that's tin foil. Get that out of the way. That steaming and braising didn't affect our bark at all. 197, 204. And tenderness wise, oh baby. This bark right here in this one spot is the crispiest. The rest of it is normal bark. I think this is going to be a fantastic ratio once this all gets mixed in together, because down on the bottom, the whole bottom half of this is going to be soft, no bark because of the juice. But I think with this little bit of crusty bark here and this little bit of normal bark here, once we mix all this up, that's going to be real good. Now let's take a temperature on one of these ones from the bottom rack. And I have, over the couple hours these have been wrapped, I have rotated them, I think, just once. The guy that was up here on the hot rack for the first hour, I took him down and put him in the cool bottom middle for hour number 2, and I swapped the ones that were at the other ends. I think the top to bottom switch was the most important. The side to side doesn't really matter as much on these Lone Stars, but I did it anyway. So let's take a gander here at this bottom middle. See what he's probing out at. Oh yeah. Good bark on that one too. Now this one broke loose after he started braising, but that's still going to be delicious. And I forgot, those giblets I took inside earlier, we haven't sampled yet. I was too busy building gun racks and Weber Smoky Mountain hinge kits. Let's see. 202. Oh yeah. 202 it was right in the center. This one's about 208 at this end. So I think these are all going to be done, y'all. We're going to pull them all. That one felt super buttery. Even just a hair more tender than the last one. No surprise since it was a few degrees hotter. But what I'm going to do is pull them, get them inside, and test those giblets, and then I'll let you guys go. All right? Because we're not going to be digging into the main part of these until next Saturday at the anniversary party. So y'all won't see that, but I'll show you the giblets right here in a minute that I pulled off earlier. Stay tuned. All right, folks, I have a confession. I decided what I was going to do is I was going to break these down just a little bit and so I could fit them into 3 pans in my freezer instead of 4. So I pulled a third of this one off to put it in with this guy and pour in a little bit of the juice reserves. And there was these little giblets down here, hot and fresh, and I just couldn't resist because when I pulled that chunk off of this one, it was literally like Jello. This is that chunk that I'm talking about. Just look at this. It's literally falling through my fingers. Like there's no effort involved whatsoever. Beautiful pink smoke ring on that bad boy. And I just had to taste it. Once I tasted it, I realized I gotta come clean and share this with my audience. Now I'm gonna taste a piece of this. Let me get some of this good bark here with a little bit of the wetter meat from over here. So I have a nice black piece of bark and a whole bunch of pink smoke ring meat that's super juicy. Dip it in that juice, that hot sop. And we'll try it out. I have no idea if my head is in the picture or not. Wow. That particular piece of bark is a little bit too, just a hair too dry for my liking by itself like that. But I think mixed in with the rest of this meat, it's going to be awesome. And this pink stuff over here, wow. I could eat this all day long. So good. Anyhow, I had to share that with you. And at this point, I don't need to show you the giblets because those were from hours ago. This stuff is so tender. Let me do one more for you before I let you go. Just to show you exactly what I'm talking about here. I'll pull a big one. Oh my goodness. I'm going to hold this together until I get it over the pan. And then just look at the way this thing falls apart. I mean, the whole thing is just like butter. Wow. I got to eat one more. Another barky piece with good smoke ring. Another dunk. This time I won't even eat it over the food. I'll back up. That is so good. I'm going to keep breaking these up. Hopefully I can fit 4 into 3 pans. What I've been doing is pouring just a little bit of that juice back over the top so that when I reheat these next weekend, it's going to be delicious. Thank you all so much for sticking around for a long cook today. I know it has been long at times, especially with the added projects, and it's getting hot out here. Man, that pork was worth it. I can't wait to bring that to the party next weekend, and hopefully everybody enjoys it. Hopefully I made enough. And anyhow, you can rest assured we'll be cooking again soon here on Texas 2.5. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all my subscribers. Thank you for those who give comments and good feedback. Appreciate all of you. See you next time. Y'all thought you were done with me, didn't you? Tricked you. Couldn't help but show you one more thing. I'm in the middle of cleanup and dry out with the smoker. Food's all put away. Dusk is settling in here in Minnesota, and as I always do when I use the Lone Star, I just cleaned her out with water, and now I have got the fire nice and hot so that she'll be completely dry here when I put her back in the garage after dark tonight. But I wanted to show you this. One thing Lone Star claims is that with this cross-flow technology and their new baffling system, the way they get even temps left to right is it forces the air up and around and down to the chimney pipe, and most of it goes out the chimney pipe, but LSG claims that some of it wraps back around and keeps circulating like this. So you have like this continual circular hot air motion, almost like convection, that keeps things nice and even left to right. And there's no way for you to see airflow when your smoker's closed, so there's no way to scientifically prove that. However, I think we've gotten as close as we can tonight. One thing I noticed, I left my ball valve open tonight during this heat up time so that my ball valve and drain would completely dry out as well. In the past, when I've closed them up too early, it collects water down in that drain, and the next time I go to drain it out, there's already a bunch of yucky water from last time. Well, tonight, my wife noticed, you got smoke coming out your drain pipe from the bottom of the smoker. So look at the position on that. Most of that smoke is coming right out the chimney like they claim, but apparently some of it is wrapping down, just like they claim, to the belly, and is because I have my ball valve open, that some of that smoke is getting forced out the bottom. That's pretty cool. To me, that says this grill is doing exactly what they say it's supposed to be doing. And doesn't surprise me. Everything I've seen with this company so far is first class and top notch. But I thought that was a neat little thing to share with you. We got smoke coming out the ball valve. Crossflow.